Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Joy News Today with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, also live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. In our headlines today, President Akufo-Addo says he's committed to building a robust public legal defense to ensure the state's interest is defended at all times. More from the maiden conference of public sector lawyers. Municipal assemblies working to curb the spread of cholera. We'll hear from some regional director of health in this bulletin. We'll also bring you updates from the campaign trail where NDC's presidential candidate John Mahama is accusing NPP of concealing energy debt, which he says has plunged the nation into a new form of doomsday, while NPP's Dr Mahamudu Bawumia promises to build jobs with Buy Ghana First policy as he seeks to enforce laws if elected president. We've got these plus business news, sports news and world news in this package. Please stay for details. Now to our first story, President Akufo-Addo says he's committed to building a robust public legal defense to ensure the state's interest is defended at all times. He's been speaking at the Public Sector Lawyers Conference in Accra, where Attorney General Godfred Yebu also said Ghana's economy would have collapsed if some arbitration challenges against the state succeeded. Mr. Dame explained that had it not been for the spirited defense put up by his office, the state would have paid in excess of $9 billion in international arbitral awards, with 13 trillion cedis in local actions filed against the state. Now, my colleague Asante was there, but please stay with me. We'll go with him shortly, and then he will bring us details of that. Now, let's bring you some stories. Now, health authorities in the Ashanti region are increasing preventive measures against the outbreak and possible spread of cholera. This comes as there's a rise in cholera cases across the country. Public education has been identified as key to either preventing an outbreak or breaking transmission of this waterborne disease. Ohim Interior of our health desk has more in the following report.
Director General of Ghana Health Services, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abwaji, in a release, detailed response measures being undertaken by the service to prevent further spread of cholera. Though the Ashanti region is yet to confirm a case, health authorities have heightened preventive measures. Regional Health Director Dr. Fred Adumaku says his outfit is concerned with developments in Greater Accra region, since the Ashanti region shares similar demographics, including economic and business activities. He tells Joy News health authorities are on high alert to avert a possible outbreak.
As we speak, I think the only region that have gotten confirmed cases is actually Greater Accra region. But the disease of such nature, you cannot sit aloof. For if you remember, even the reason why if we did the polio supplementary immunization activity, you remember that the environmental isolate of the polio that we did share the same genetic composition as that of Algeria. So you can imagine that even if a disease can cross countries, borders, then therefore when you are just nearby, and then looking at the dynamic nature of how the population move from one area to other, then it means that all of us should be prepared and then preempt preventive measures to make sure that you don't really record.
Health authorities are advocating strict infection prevention control practices in public places such as schools, banks and hospitals. Dr. Adumaku Boateng is encouraging residents to stick to good hygiene and basic practices like hand washing and avoid eating cold foods.
Cholera is a disease that can be prevented, and there are tried and tested ways that we can prevent it. the best one as a mother. If you take care of your kids when they have used the private, wherever you are going, the best thing that you have to do is just wash your hands, especially with running water and soap. If it's possible, get a tissue and wipe the water, because what you have actually done is that you have dislodged the germ in your hand. That is the best way. In fact, it's believed that this what we call the universal precaution, this hand hygiene. It can be either soap and running water, or if you have the alcohol base, just washing your hands, soap and running water. And you believe that the COVID we did so well. Almost every facility that you went, you saw Veronica bucket with soap, running water. Any facility that you went, you had the dispenser there as a habit. We just have to wash our hands. Anywhere you use the private, wash your hands. Secondly, it's important that this is the time that you shouldn't be eating cold foods. Wherever you are. I mean, you don't know where this fly is coming from. So it's important that, look, warming of your food can just kill this germ.
Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate is canvassing for public support to ensure cholera-free society. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Midday reporting.
Now we've been joined by Dr. Stanley Yedu. He is the Central Regional Health Director. Let's get some updates from the Central Region as well. Doc, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. Can you please give us an update on what the situation is like in the Central Region?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, a point of correction. I'm not the Central Regional Director of Health Services.
Okay.
Yes, if you want to speak to the Central Regional Director of Health Services, that arrangement can be made.
But it's fine. We are able to get some information from you as well. Then thanks for the correction.
So I'm the Municipal Director of Health Services for Kenya East.
That's even perfect.
Yes, not the Director of Health Services for the Central Region.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stanley Yedu. Thank you. Please, are you able to give us some updates of the current situation, especially in the Wutisenya East?
And good afternoon to all the listeners and the people of Ghana. I think that we confirmed our first case on the 31st of October, and since then we've had quite a number of cases which has been widely reported in the media. But I can confirm that by God's grace, our community engagement is going well. The general public in Wutisenya East and our environs are being sensitized on cholera and how to prevent it. And so as I we have begun to experience a decline in the number of cases that we are reporting in our facilities. Also, patients are now coming to the hospital earlier than before, because now they are aware of cholera, the presence of cholera and the symptoms of cholera. And so once they pass one watery stool or the vomit, they are rushing to the hospital. And that has also contributed to the improvement in the quality of care that we are giving to our clients. We've had reinforcement of health workers from neighboring districts, and nurses and other health workers who are on leave have been called back to help with the response effort. So I can confidently say that we are on top of the issues, and we are trying hard to contain the cholera outbreak, and we see light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, thank you for that update. But is this coming to you as a surprise at all?
No, it's not coming to us as a surprise. We received a communique from the Director General of Health Service when the first case was concerned in, I think, Adan. And since then, we sent communication to all our health facilities to be on high alert. We distributed information regarding what the suspected cases, what the probable cases, and what confirmed cases. And so our health facilities and the health workers have been on high alert. And that is how come we were able to suspect the first case that was subsequently proven negative, and then subsequently we had cases that were confirmed. So our health facilities were ready to receive patients that had symptoms of cholera. Their challenge is that sometimes space is a problem. So even though we are ready, we have the staff on the ground, we have what it takes. And the way that, you know how as far as the metropolitan area,
yes,
we have people coming in and going out on daily basis. So the scale of the infections that we have on the second day is what really gave us a few challenges. But we are putting the necessary measures, and now we have enough space to accommodate all cases who come up with cases of cholera.
Okay, it's good to know that you're on top of the situation, especially in the Wutusenya East area. But we want to know that if you heard about the ADA and the measures that they have put in place by banning distribution of food during funerals and certain type of gatherings, have you considered anything of the sort, or you think that the measures you have put in place and curbing it is enough?
So we've considered all those measures. That in public health, we do things based on the science and based on the data. The Director General has been there himself to assess the situation. We've had the regional minister also come around to assess the situation. Our MP is also on the ground assessing the situation. And I think that at the right time, decisions that have to be made in the interest of the public will be made.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Stanley Yedu, for talking to us. Thank you very much. Now, moving away from that, a group calling itself the Coalition of Unpaid Teachers and Arrears Ghana is asking government to pay them outstanding salaries after being employed as teaching staff under the Ghana Education Service. According to the teachers, they were employed permanently by the government in 2023. However, delays in processing their documents for employment agreement has resulted in unpaid salary. Let's speak to Nana Addo, General Secretary of the Coalition of Unpaid Teachers and Arrears Ghana. Good afternoon, Nana Addo, and if you can hear me, please give us more details on this request that you're giving to the Ghana Education Service. Please give us more details.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon for having me. The issue of unpaid salaries started during the second quarter of this year. Last year, in 2023, the government recruited a number of teachers into the Ghana Education Service, and then we began with the processing of our documents. During the months of January, February, March, April, and May, some of our colleagues were able to get their staff hike, and they were paid fully the amount that paid. But some of us who had our ID late, that is, some of us who got hours from the month of July, August, September, October, and then November, are facing a particular issue of arrears. Anytime Ghana Education Service employs you, there is something we call the acceptance letter, the assumption of duty day. That is the day that you began working. Everything is documented over there. But then when the government began paying salary, the government began from the month of August, which means that if you began work last year in the month of October, from October to the month of July, you were not going to receive a salary, even though we were validated for those periods. Some of our colleagues have worked for 16 months, others 14 months, 10 months, 7 months, and have been received either a single salary or just a fraction of the salary, even though you were validated for all these months. And the Ghana Education Service issued a communique on the 19th of August that they were going to work on the issues and then settle it by the end of September. And then we are not seeing that. September ended, we didn't see anything. We are in November, and still the government is not sticking to its promise, which is really affecting teachers. Most teachers have resorted to borrowing, and then financially, you can imagine the burden on the teacher who has worked for 12, 13 months without receiving a single salary.
Okay.
And this...
And so, Nana, if I understand, the GES, per the communique they issued in August, have acknowledged the situation and promised that they were going to pay. Now, you have indicated that on the 18th of this month, if the issue is not resolved, then what?
We are going to take a different action, of which we do not want to put out now. We as a group we are going to sit down again. We have a lot of strategies we have put in place that if this doesn't work, we are going to resort to this one. But for now, we wouldn't like to break that one. But if the government is not able to resolve the issue and respond to us on the set date, we are going to take a different action. And also, some of our colleagues are yet to receive their staff IDs, even though they have worked for more than a year. And this is a worrying situation. So we are hoping that the government address all these issues to alleviate the hardship that teachers in the country are going through.
So this coalition, do you belong to a certain mother body or you are a body on your own?
We belong to mother bodies, that is the unions. But then this is a body on its own, which was purposely set up for these arrears and payment issues.
Okay, so none of these unions that you belong to are aware so that they can help in the negotiation or anything at all?
We informed a couple of them, and the responses that we got weren't encouraging.
Okay.
There were times some of our colleagues even went there and they said we are not part of them. And so the responses we were getting weren't encouraging enough.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nana Addo. Now let's bring you some election stories. This is your election headquarters. Now to the campaign trails. Now, presidential candidates of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has announced plans to create jobs and boost Ghana's economy with his Buy Ghana First policy if elected as president. The vice president, who is currently touring the Ashanti region, said his administration will prioritize the purchase of locally made goods and services to create jobs and stimulate economic growth.
Buy Ghana First policy. Buy Ghana First. Adia obayin betobia yen hwehwem no wo Ghana mo first before I thinking about importing it. Because we are out of full position. Bibia ye pese ye to ye kokra. But okra no a ejuma no o memo no enye ejuma ye. So last we call factory bi wo Japan. Na omo ye school uniforms. Na omo kai tell them say first na omo nya contracts ye, but say ye craft from China. Enti omo ni ejuma ye. Na me say we is a wrong policy. Me be samara no me the law eba buy Ghana first. Enti ye betono ha na ye tailors anye ejuma aye for school uniforms and all of that. Enti the government whether it's furniture, whether it's uniforms, whether it's electrical cable, BBR, first in Ghana. And then if it's any Ghana, they are waiting Accra. That Ewa from here, and we will build our capacity and our jobs. The professor the churches and the Islamic institutions. The churches build a lot of schools, a lot of hospitals. Islamic institutions, schools all the time. But donations no fees are being live, nobody Abrofui Ghana, say hospital, and answer school. Materials be you can't almost say, Mobi development partners, Mamutia duty. And yes, sir, but church and answer Islamic institution, it is our materials, no air bar, yes, it could duty. Maybe we are going to classify all the churches and the Islamic institutions as development partners, entitled to the same incentives. Will give the churches and the Islamic institutions the same incentives.
Let's get more from Nana Addo. Nana Addo, good afternoon. So yesterday you brought us an update on how he started his tour in the Ashanti region. What more can you report today?
Well, MFA, today is the second day of the Vice President's Ashanti Regional Tour. And as part of his tour today, he'll be visiting 3 constituencies in the Ashanti region. He'll be going to Oxensu North, Oxensu South, and then Esija Part Bray. And in each constituency where the Vice President would be visiting, he will be having an engagement with the stakeholders, the clergy, imams, and the traditional authorities, where he will be sharing his message to each one of them. And also, he would hold mini rallies in each of these constituencies that he will be visiting in the Ashanti region today. And so, as part of the 15-day tour of the Ashanti region, the second day is focusing on 3 major constituencies in the Ashanti region. Well, the Vice President's message is clear to each particular group, each group that he will be meeting. And his message is about creating jobs for the ordinary Ghanaian, and also about yesterday or today, he has been reiterating his intention to cut the cost of electricity by 50% with the introduction of 20,000 megawatts of solar power, and also talking about his Buy Ghana First policy, which he says that will be backed by law, and also make sure that state institutions would come directly into Ghana, our agencies, and then our factories, to make sure that any goods that is purchasable locally will be done locally, to also make sure that we have economic stability.
So after today, where else would he be visiting in the constituencies?
Well, after today, the second day would focus on the Tapo constituency, Okorukom constituency, Inchesu constituency. Well, MFA, he is expected to tour all 47 constituencies in the Ashanti region, and that is to solidify the party's base here in the region.
I can imagine the response. Quickly, how has the response been day 2?
Well, day 2 has been impressive. The first day, let me even start from the first day. The reception was very, very impressive. The number of people coming in their numbers to hear the message of the Vice President. Yesterday, as early as 7 a.m., the Vice President was engaging party supporters, the clergymen and the imam. Today, as at 7 a.m., the path of possibilities, as he claims, moved on to Offensive North and Offensive South, and where he's going to wrap up at the Fija Kwabre. And so the reception, MFI must say, has been very impressive. That is according to his team.
Thank you so much, Nana Addo. Now moving on to the NDC, the National Democratic Congress presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama has criticized the governing New Patriotic Party for what he describes as a silent accumulation of debt in Ghana's energy sector, which he says has led to a new form of doomsday. Speaking during his campaign tour in the OT region, he accused the NPP of planning to pass this financial burden to the next government. Let's go live. Maxwell Agbagba, who is traveling with the NDC's presidential candidate, will bring us an update. Hello, Maxwell. Good afternoon.
This program, which he says will provide a lot of jobs for the teeming number of young people who remain unemployed. He's also been talking about the Farmers Services Center that he says will boost agricultural production, in the country.
Hi, Maxwell. If you can hear me, today after OT, where will the presidential candidates be visiting as well again?
Well, it's not official, but we are picking indications that on Thursday he's likely to be in the Central Region to continue with his tour.
Okay. Would also come to you a bit later on election brief for you to bring us updates. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Asiedu Nketia, says the party may be forced to consider inducement of electorates for their votes if they continue to put that ahead of the development. According to him, government has often resorted to undemocratic means to hold political power. The chairman says national development may suffer if inducement and blinded loyalty to political parties continue to take center stage in the country's politics. Nana Addo joins the NDC chairman on a 3-day campaign tour at the Ashanti region.
The chairman of the opposition NDC took the first day of the campaign tour to 8 communities in the offensive North and South constituencies. Asiedu Nketia made stops at Fija Kwabre North and Fija Kwabre South, where the team met the electorate in smaller groups. In all the areas visited, the party chair touted the NDC's achievements while in power, emphasizing the need for a return.
Now my politician be who say, what dear,
if a politician gets to know that you are very loyal, he decides to neglect you. They will rather develop areas they can't win and take their loyalists for granted. He cautions the electorate against inducement in the upcoming elections. We can forfeit the road we want to build from here to Tra and invest part of the money in buying cutlass, Maggie Cube, and chicken for your votes. I believe we will have enough for the people here and beyond. If someone will do development and the other decides to neglect you and use the money to buy your votes, then we all have to learn from them.
Now, Alan Chemantin will be the first independent candidate to become president of Ghana. This according to his campaign team. Leading member of the team, Asiedu Nketia, says Mr. Chemantin remains the best bet to rescue Ghana from the mess created by both the governing New Patriotic Party and opposition National Democratic Congress. He made these remarks during a campaign tour of the Bono East region to canvass vote for the Afrofanto Alliance. Anas Sabit has more.
At an engagement with voters in the Bono East region as part of campaign strategies ahead of the December 7 polls, Kwabena Aidoo, a key figure of Alan Chemantin's movement for change, also known as the Afrofanto Alliance, noted that Alan Chemantin will be the first independent candidate to be voted as president in Ghana's history. According to him, Alan Chemantin's legacy speaks highly of him and Ghanaians will give him the credit on December 7.
This is what we are doing to make sure we have the voter contact. We will not go and bus people to one place, be on the stage, dance, shout, and then come home. No. That we are moving from constituency to community to community is very effective more than putting people together. So that is the main reason of the campaign. And I'm confident that, I'm very optimistic that at the end of the season, Ghanaians are going to elect Alan Chemantin as the first independent president. Look at the smaller towns that we went. Everybody, Alan Cat. So it should tell you that people are getting the message. And we know all those who are contesting, it's only Alan Chemantin who can save this country from this mess that FPP has put us in.
He further revealed that the elections will move into a runoff which will go in favor of the Afrofanto movement.
My hope for Alan winning this election from day one, it has not changed. And from day one, I've been saying that 2024 elections, no straight win. There's going to be a runoff, and I still stand by that. Once there's a runoff, Alan is the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Some party faithfuls who spoke with JoyNews expressed why they are optimistic that Alan Chemantin has what it takes to win the December polls and change Ghana's destiny.
The maminya papa ni mujitia timi mani abere ne se tambia mehwe TV ametie ni bia ne se Obama ma ba ese me so makoye obatan ti se obi so Obama ma de enta me so me ni menua no ma ye nyina yenko na ye ma papa ne ma no me so ma yasene ti eno ne ma hoden eni me nyina so pa so se ma eba e na wo ba no mani gisa ne hwehwe no ho
Chemantin enyim bunu yisi nim fie no ye can business resource centers atama no ye minister for trade and industry techima ha ebi wo ha o ko kemike tampo abi wo ko atebubu amante a na juma o ye ebi wo ho Now we are no free one. Alan Chairman now he's telling the youth of this country and now about 70% of Ghana's population is Mabunu. And the Mabunu are the Omunya. And so Alan Chairman is telling the youth of this country, let us vote for him and he's going to provide jobs.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Teachman.
A presidential candidate of the new force, Nana Addo, as part of his transformative 276 tour, paid a courtesy call under Domahene Nostalgia for Osadie and Nana Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia II. During the interaction, Nana Addo addressed the rift between Domahene and the Asante Hene and offered himself as a sacrificial lamb to heal and divide. Now, earlier, we brought you the story of the first ever public lawyers conference, and my colleague, Kwabena Aidoo, was there, and he's been bringing us updates. What's been happening? Some huge amounts of money is being said over there.
Well, yes, the Attorney General has been giving the public some kind of information as to how much the state was going to lose if the state had not put up such a robust defense to some of the international arbitrations. For instance, he claims that about $9 billion was what the state was going to lose if the state was not putting up such a defense in international arbitration. And he says that was enough to collapse the local economy. And so because of that, the government of Ghana has been taking certain steps. He also talks about 13 trillion Ghana cedis in terms of disputes that have arisen in Ghanaian courts with businesses who have taken government on in terms of their inability to fulfill their legal obligations in contracts. What the Attorney General says government is doing to fix this is amending the Contract Act as it is now. He says he's put proposal before Cabinet and he's expecting that will get to Parliament and it will be passed to make certain changes, to make Ghana the arbitration center for international disputes. He does not believe that when Ghana goes to the US, the UK, the Paris, and other places, they get justice. And so he wants the arbitration and other issues to be dealt with locally. And then we have been hearing from President Akufo-Addo, who is just about 3 months or 2 months to leave office as the president, who says he's always going to commit himself to resourcing the public sector lawyers to ensure that they get to the space where they get all the resources they need to mount the defense in court and defend the government interest. Did he say anything on the performance of public sector lawyers at all, anything? Yes, in fact, he has been diving into that. He says he believes that they've done such a great work. They've delivered on their mandate. They have supported the Attorney General Department to get to the place where they have spiritedly defended the interests of government in court, and he expects that they will continue to do so. He has been assuring that his government is going to recruit more persons for the Attorney General Department so that the state attorneys will always be on hand to support government's efforts in dealing with these matters. Did the Attorney General, by any chance, touch on any of the government issues that are in court? Nothing at all, did he? Well, no, he gave a broad overview. We expect that this is a 3-day conference. He perhaps will be speaking to some of these issues behind closed doors when the media are out of that place. He's going to speak to these institutions who have their legal representations in this conference that is going to end on Thursday, and they're going to strategize about how exactly they can put in measures to ensure that government interest is defended always when it comes to court matters or other legal disputes. Thank you so much, Kwabena Aidoo. But quickly, happy birthday to you. Thank you. Happy birthday, and God bless you. You did a great job for us here. Great. All right, guys, please stay. We're back shortly with business.
Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojubaka. As part of efforts to build resilience and improve Ghana's cybersecurity space ahead of the 2024 elections, the Cybersecurity Authority has committed to ensuring the protection of the country's critical information infrastructure. Speaking to Joy Business, Director of Capacity Building and Awareness Creation at the authority, Alex Opong, noted that this will be achieved by enforcing full compliance with the requirements of the Cybersecurity Act.
According to the Global Cybersecurity Index, Israel has consistently ranked among top countries in the world, reflecting its commitment to cybersecurity measures and policies. The Cyber Awareness Breakfast meeting, organized by the Israeli Economic and Trade Mission to Ghana, aimed to promote partnerships between Israeli and Ghanaian cybersecurity companies. Speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the forum, Alex Opong Director of Capacity Building and Awareness Creation at the Cybersecurity Authority, indicated that the authority will continue to ensure full compliance to improve the country's systems.
The reason why that there's a focus on critical information infrastructure is because when you're designated as a critical information infrastructure owner, be it the system, it means that anything that happens to that particular system or to that institution that is considered as an owner has a detrimental effect on the Ghana's economy and national security. So in October 2021, we launched what is referred to as the Directive for the Protection of Critical Information Infrastructure. And these are baseline directives pulled from best practice, global best practices.
On his part, Eviel Avram, Deputy Chief of Mission at the Israeli Embassy to Ghana, expressed Israel's commitment to fostering partnerships to support Ghana's cybersecurity sector.
With Ghana's digital transformation agenda, particularly as the country leverages technology to drive economic growth and inclusion, cybersecurity has naturally become a priority area, and most of all, a national security. Israel's collaboration with Ghana in cybersecurity field has been about building partnership, knowledge exchange, exchanging expertise, and fostering an environment where we can learn from one another. Over the past years, we have engaged in dialogues and exchanges knowledges with Israeli experts, with Ghanaian counterparts, providing insights on best practices and offering guidance on developing resilient cyber infrastructure.
The forum was held under the theme, Strengthening Cybersecurity Collaboration, Israel-Ghana Partnerships for a Resilient Digital Future.
As part of efforts to promote mental health, Bellaka, Ghana has organized the Healing Together Vigil 2.0. The initiative, which is part of the company's Take a Break campaign, hosted mental health advocates and influencers. In an interview with Joy Business, the head of marketing, Kwabena Aidoo, announced that the company would donate 300,000 cedis to the Ghana Mental Health Authority, reinforcing the company's commitment to promoting mental health awareness in Ghana. More in this report.
Bellaka, Ghana, a subsidiary of the Blow Group of companies, recently held a Healing Together Vigil 2.0 as part of its Take a Break campaign. The event served as a gathering for mental health practitioners, advocates, influencers, media personalities, diplomats, and community leaders to promote mental health awareness and well-being. This year's vigil began with a mental health talk led by experts, providing attendees with valuable insight into building strong mental health practices. Asiedu Nketia is the head of marketing at Bellaka.
The Take a Break campaign basically is a mental health advocacy thing that we've taken upon ourselves since last year. And basically what we do is that we create the platforms like what you've witnessed today, where we have experts, we have general Ghanaians also come around, interact with the experts, where they take key advice as to how to manage, their mental well-being. And afterwards, we enjoy some good music, some kebab, some great drinks from Bell Beverage as well, and just to unwind, and like the theme of the campaign is take a break from all the stresses of the world, and that's what we stand for, and that's what we've been championing since last year.
Asiedu Nketia shared Bellaka's commitment to supporting the Ghana Mental Health Authority.
Bellaka is taking the mental health awareness to the second stage, and it's quite big. What we are doing is that, so for every quarter, Bellaka is issuing out 75,000 cedis to the Mental Health Authority. So fully in a year, we are looking at 300,000 cedis to support the mental health authorities, so that the psychiatrists, the psychologists, and all the experts will be able to go into the communities to have conversations and have impact in the life of consumers. So we are excited about this relationship with Mental Health Authority, and we are very hopeful that through these collaborations, we'll be able to demystify that whole assumptions or negativities that Ghanaians have when it comes to the topic of mental health.
That's it for Business. Sports is next. I am Pius Kujubaka.
Time now to bring you sports here on Joy News Today. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. The Ghana University Games will be happening next year at the University of Cape Coast. The launch of the 28th edition happened on Monday, and my colleague Arika Santi was there and has details in this report.
16 institutions will participate in the 28th edition of the GUSA Games, which is expected to attract about 4,000 student athletes. The biennial sporting event offers an opportunity for students to showcase and develop their talents. This year's GUSA Games will be held in January because of the December elections. The games will take place between January 3rd and 18th, 2025. Speaking at the launch of UCC 2024, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Johnson Nyakubuampom, expressed UCC's readiness to host a successful event.
University sports serve as a powerful tool for promoting unity, discipline, and excellence. The sports are more than just games. They provide breeding ground for future leaders, innovators, and change makers. The skills and values nurtured through sports are teamwork, perseverance, leadership, and resilience, which are needed to drive national development. Our universities have long been the cradle of academic excellence. It is time we also recognize and harness the potential of sports as a catalyst for national development.
Dr. Ibrahim Shaibu Tanku, the president of GUSA, applauded the university's management and the LOC for their preparation to ensure a memorable hosting of GUSA 2024. He urged the University of Cape Coast to ensure alternative training spaces for the games.
The GUSA Games, scheduled to ignite from January 3rd to January 18th, 2025, promises to bring together a multitude of talents and aspirations. Yet, as we gather here, we must recognize the unique context of this period. It coincides with Ghana's electoral processes, a cornerstone in our national democratic journey. We are aware that this timing may bring unforeseen challenges, especially if a runoff election takes place. To our dedicated organizers, I urge proactive measures. Could we explore flexible training schedules, alternative training spaces, or providing additional support to maintain our athletes' momentum?
The Vice-Chancellor of UCC, the GUSA President, and the LOC Chairperson, Professor Rosemond Boahene, jointly unveiled the official mascot, Ogua Suapon Okorie. Professor Boahene, on her part, emphasized the importance of sports and athletics.
In the coming weeks, our athletes will prepare tirelessly, supported by coaches, mentors, and friends, to represent their universities and personal aspirations. Our community, in turn, will be there to encourage them, cheer them on, and witness the fruits of their hard work and commitment.
The UCC 2024 Games will see athletes participate in games like football, athletics, volleyball, hockey, handball, basketball, among others. For Joy Sports, my name is Erica Santi, UCC.
And later tonight, UEFA Champions League makes a return. It is March Day 5. Manchester City will be coming up against Sporting Lisbon. And there's also the fixture involving PSV versus Girona. Bratislava will come up against Dynamo. Borussia Dortmund will play Sturm Graz. Bologna will come up against Monaco. Celtic versus RB Leipzig. Lille versus Juventus. Liverpool, they will play Bayer Leverkusen. And it is more of a homecoming for Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso, who was part of Liverpool's side that won the UEFA Champions League in 2005. Real Madrid will come up against AC Milan, and Sporting Lisbon will play Manchester City. These are the fixtures for UEFA Champions League football later tonight, and we'll have commentary on Hits 103.9 FM. All these games will be kicking up at 8 p.m. That's your sports for now. We'll have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
Welcome back to News Today. Time now for world news. We start from the U.S. elections, where Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump, the former president, have been running neck and neck for weeks. Now, researcher and data analyst Isaac Ofieje joins us with updates. Good afternoon, Isaac, and please, I'm looking forward to hearing some sudden decisive factor. Are you putting some sudden decisive factor for us so far?
Well, so far, just like you said, it's a neck-and-neck race. We do not know who will actually win the election. But per what we are gathering so far, more people are actually voting. And just like we said yesterday, the 7, key battlegrounds, which they call the swing regions or the swing states, will actually decide this year's elections. But if you look at CNN's, what they call the final polls of polls, they put Harris at 49% and Trump at 47%. But they say it is still very close and it's still early days here to actually start to call the elections. We've had, an impression of how people are actually voting in some of the key states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. Trump and Harris have actually, finalized their campaign. Both have gone to settle down, also trying to go and vote and also observe what will go on in the space at the moment.
For you personally, what's the very thing that's different about this year's election?
Well, this year's election actually brings on board the first time, a former president who only served at one term versus, a vice president. The same scenario that is playing out in Ghana. And if you look at their policies this year, this is the first time that a key issue such as abortion will be very, very important to voters when they go out to vote, what they call the reproductive health, rights, where you remember the Roe v. Wade, a case where they said reproductive rights should actually be given to women to decide what they do with what they conceive. And in fact, there are also key issues such as immigration, which we in developing countries is very important to us. Trade and actually supporting whether to support or not to support Ukraine is also big on the table. And generally trade with China, which Trump will say is going to put as high as 60% tariff on trade with China and 20% with other countries, unlike China. So there's a whole, a basket of issues actually to talk about. But what actually tops the issue is the economy to the ordinary American. But for us who are here in developing countries, immigration and trade is big for us.
As of yesterday, we noticed that young people were not voting, of course, because it was via mail. But today, are we noticing that young people are going to the polls?
Well, I've seen an interesting data this morning that says that Gen Zs will make 8 million of the American total registered voters this year. That should tell you that this is what they call the TikTok election. It means that young people will actually, have a say in this year's elections. But the data we are seeing so far is that unlike yesterday, where during the early voting, we did not see a lot of young people, this time around, people are going out to vote. If you observe CNN, for instance, they actually pitch camp in most of the campuses and young people are actually voting. But this year's election is what they call the TikTok election, which means that the Gen Zs will have an important role to play. That is why in Harris' her final, rally in Pennsylvania, she brought on board Oprah Winfrey, who actually assembled a number of Gen Zs to actually, tell the world why they will be voting on that day. So it's an interesting, dynamic in this year's election. But we have been observing the first vote that was actually cast this morning in a small village in what they call Dixville, Notch, where 6 votes were actually cast. 3 for Harris, 3 for Trump. That gives a clear indication that the election is still neck and neck.
It really is. Thank you so much, Kofi. But later this dawn, you and Evans will be bringing us updates, would you not?
Absolutely. From 12 a.m. to 9 a.m. is an action-packed show on Joy News and Joy 99.7 FM.
Thank you so much, Isaac Kofi. But thank you as well for joining us today. But quickly, before I wrap, I'd like to bring you the story from Zimbabwe. Or maybe Ghanaian diseases community keenly following, so Ghanaian communities or businesses community keenly following U.S. elections ahead would also engage Simon Maduji maybe later on a subsequent bulletin. But thank you for joining us today on Joy News Today with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. But until 12 a.m. this more on our website, myjoyonline.com.